Hey everyone, welcome to the Catholic Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Fisher. Today we have Tommy Van Horn with Ambrosian Candle Co. We're actually going to get right to it today. I'm going to go ahead and let him on in. Tommy, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for taking some time to chat. Let's just start. Why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself? Tell me a little bit about Ambrosian Candle Co.
Yeah. So Tommy Van Horn, and we started really kind of as beekeepers. Primarily, we've been keeping bees for about 15 years as a small family business, first generation, running about 1,000 colonies, give or take, depending on wintertime losses and spring buildup and all that. But there's some of a variance. But we just started keeping bees. Turned from about a 2-hive hobby over 15 years now to about 1,000 colonies. And at the time we were just stockpiling our beeswax, because I didn't really I was just preoccupied with making and selling honey for most of the last 10 years or so. And this past year, I'd say about 2 years ago, we started kind of playing around. It was really my wife's idea to kind of get the candle thing going, and just started with kind of experimenting and testing different things. For the last 2 years, we've just, kind of starting to develop a little line of candles and expanding production and kind of, introducing new stuff into the marketplace. So that's kind of where we're at.
Very cool.
Ambrosion. Yeah.
That's awesome. So how'd you launch the candle part of things? Like, was it something that you kind of fell into, or how'd you initially kind of get it off the ground and start getting people to be aware of it?
Yeah. So we started really with our local chapel. They have a bookstore and they're pretty open to trying new stuff. So we, just initially throwing things out there and seeing what stuck, see what people were interested in. And then, so that was kind of like our test market, on a local level. And with the honey business we had in the past, we've since sold the retail brand. We were running all over the place, like delivering honey to grocery stores, doing farmers markets, doing festivals, selling online. We were spread really thin in our marketing strategy. And I'm like, if I ever get back into retail, we're just going to do an e-commerce business. And so we did have the little, bookstore at the chapel. So that was kind of like our test market. But then we were just putting anything that was working up online. And so that's kind of been our strategy, just to kind of to continue to push the online presence, but still kind of demo stuff with our friends and at the chapel.
Nice. Very cool. So, what kind of marketing efforts do you do now? Like, are you on social media? How are you currently? Is it something that I guess, since it kind of came about organically, is it something that you push your focus on? How do you? I know there's a lot of questions at once, but how do you distribute like your attention between the honey part and the candle part?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, what we've decided to do with the honey is, after we sold our previous brand to another beekeeper, so he's running all the distribution and he owns that part of the business. We still own the production part, so we own all the beehives, and we sell the honey off in bulk. So we're selling it by like the semi-load to other beekeepers who then pack and sell it underneath their brand. So that marketing strategy is very simple. We do keep some back to sell to our friends and family, from a little like a roadside stand here on the farm. But very simple on the marketing strategy with the honey. And then the candles, we do a couple different things. We've kind of focused, rather than trying to do all social media, which is to me really overwhelming to do it all very well. We've just kind of focused on Twitter. We've actually had some good traction with that. There seems to be some more good organic reach still, not having to pay a ton of money to get reach on Twitter. So that's kind of been our focus for social media. And then there's an agency called CatholicAdNet.com, and they manage most of the ads for, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of Catholic websites throughout, online that they, basically you pay to advertise with that. But we've had really good reach with that, especially during like the main season in the wintertime. So that's been our main strategy. And then, just kind of accruing an email list, through organic traffic and just kind of word of mouth advertising. So that's kind of been the focus. We've just recently tested a couple like small, groups on Facebook where there's like a particular following of Catholics or traditional Catholics and kind of launched, the product concept out there. And we've had some good response from that as well.
Very cool. So, I mean, what does your day-to-day look like then as far as everything goes? Like, I'm sure no 2 days are alike, but typically what do you work on?
Yeah. I mean, like most entrepreneurs, it's every day kind of is a new ball of wax. No pun intended necessarily, but in the spring and summer for right now, since the bulk honey sales make up a big portion of our cash flow, they require a lot of my time and attention from like March and through July. So, anywhere from 6 to 12 hours a day during that time of the year, myself and my son oftentimes are out there managing the colonies, and we have seasonal help with the harvesting and extracting of the honey. And then from like August through, the winter time, my focus changes to like maintaining the bees, making sure they have enough resources to get through our short winter in Florida. And then we really delve into production and kind of working through the systems that I have in place and improving the systems with the candle production and the fulfillment and all that. So, the bees go on maintenance mode, and then the candles get all my attention, in the winter time. So there's kind of a flip flop a bit at this point in time. I mean, some point down the road, maybe the candles will take over, more of that. But at this point, we're still definitely dependent on the bees producing for the family.
Yeah. What have you always been like entrepreneurial, or is this kind of something you stumbled into?
I think I grew up. My family. My father was an engineer. My mother was a stay-at-home mother, so I didn't really grow up in that kind of environment. It was very regular. And then I went to school. I got my degree in meteorology, so I was planning to be like a storm chaser and forecast the weather. And I did that for about 3 or 4 years, and realized the lifestyle wasn't really what I had in mind. Yeah, just the practicality of it wasn't really what I envisioned. So at that point, I kind of pivoted to more entrepreneurial things. I got caught up with a couple friends, and we started up a nonprofit organization called Fraternus. It's a mentoring program for boys in middle school and high school, and it's nationwide now. I did that for about 5 years full time, and then I stepped away as the executive director. And then that's when the bee hobby turned into a bee business, and we did that. The name of that business was East Hill Honey, and we did that for about 9 years. And then we sold that business, and then the Ambrosian candles is kind of, So it's, for the last 15 years of my life, it's been very entrepreneurial.
What's been the biggest learning curve and all that then too? I mean, I'm sure that you've learned a lot in that process of selling one business and running this one. Like, what's been the hardest challenge to overcome that you would say, this is what I took away from it, and this is what I would tell someone else who might find themselves in that situation?
Yeah, I would say it's understanding your time, the value of your time, and the value of cash, and understanding cash flow, and realizing that both are very precious resources for any business. They're both kind of like the lifeblood, and then also, but they're also important for the family. I mean, if you give all your time to the business, you're neglecting your primary duty as a father. It's, for me, the challenges have been managing the time, my own time, but also employees, and making sure we have the capacity to anticipate the busy seasons, and finding help in the bees. I mean, that's finding people that are willing to get stung multiple times a day is pretty challenging at times, but and then just cash flow, just dealing with growth. Like, you can't grow too fast, but you got to still kind of, there's definitely a goal to meet certain expectations and stuff. So just juggling those two things, has been, and then kind of building the systems, in place to kind of create the framework for things to expand and actually simplify, where you can actually hand responsibilities off and you're not having to micromanage everything. I mean, it's just all the intricacies of how all those things intertwine has been a learning curve. And it's, but it's exciting. It's something, there's always a new challenge every day. So it's, I enjoy that aspect of it.
What would you say has worked on Twitter for you specifically? Would you, if there's other Catholic entrepreneurs looking to start some kind of e-commerce, would you recommend Twitter? And if so, what have you found works really well for you?
Yeah, I definitely would. what's been really fruitful is actually establishing relationships with people offline that, are also online, of course, and developing a friendship that, and an understanding of what they're trying to do and what they're trying to promote, and then what we're trying to do and what we're trying to promote. So there's a synergy and a collaboration that's not really superficial. I mean, we're out there promoting each other and, doing different things, but I think that having that foundational relationship behind the scenes is extremely valuable. So it's not just very superficial. So I think that's the secret to utilizing Twitter in particular, is just investing in these different relationships. Sending free product, just getting to know them, going to their events, whatever it is. Seeing them in person. I think it's you can't. I mean, some things have changed in business over time, but you can't replace FaceTime and just authenticity in business. And I think that still holds true today.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Are there any big marketing takeaways you'd want to share with other Catholic entrepreneurs, specifically in the Catholic space too? I think sometimes being, a Catholic business is kind of a unique challenge, but also a unique opportunity. Anything marketing wise that you'd want to share as far as, best advice?
That's a good question. We were initially, we were not sure if we wanted to position ourselves as like a Catholic candle company, or as a candle company owned by Catholics, if that makes sense. Whereas, one, you're explicitly Catholic in what you're saying and what you're doing and how you come across as a brand. The second one is you're more, you're authentic. You're still, Catholic in a sense, but you're not, explicitly promoting, the Catholic faith. And so this is kind of a new spin for us, because East Hill Honey was not. We were more a business owned by Catholics, but now we're a Catholic company, owned by Catholics. So, and it's been a great response. I mean, I think what's different is like there's like the tribe, so to speak, of Catholics, like devout Catholics, and they see other Catholics that are trying to do something that's good. They really are our biggest promoters. And we didn't have that in the same way with the honey company. I mean, people, once they knew we were Catholic and they were Catholic, they're like, oh yeah, we'll happy to share the word. But there's like it's almost like a representation of who they are. If you kind of fit this, within their tribe, so to speak, so it's, we've had a really good response, kind of unexpected in some ways, but no regrets at all.
Very cool. For the Catholics listening, what are some of your products specifically? What's out there that they could check out?
Yeah. Our current offering is up online on ambrosiancandles.com. I mean, the Advent candles are a big seller for us. Just the taper Advent candles. And then we also sell a lot of just traditional Catholic traditional just beeswax taper candles, like just the standard, like kind of dinner taper candle. They're real popular and they're great. That's what we use. Like whenever we pray the family rosary, they burn real well. They can burn in short periods of time, whereas the bigger pillar candles tend to need a longer burn time, so they burn properly. There's kind of a bit of a science to how you burn beeswax candles. If you burn them a big, huge, fat candle in short spurts, it actually will tunnel and waste a lot of the wax. But yeah, and then we have a rose candle. I think I have one here. It's kind of in honor of Saint Therese, or it gets depending on what calendar you follow. Her feast is tomorrow for the traditional calendar, and then it was on yesterday. But it's kind of a pillar candle embossed with a bunch of roses, which I thought was kind of cool.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
My wife has a particular devotion to Saint Therese. So anyhow, so that's kind of one of the things. But,
yeah.
And then, we have a couple new concepts that we haven't really rolled out yet, that we're probably rolling out after the new year, because it's just so crazy to try and roll out something new during the winter time for us. So looking forward to kind of seeing other concepts as well.
Yeah. Very cool. So I guess to that point, where do you see this going in the near future, and then maybe even long term? Any big plans, projects, things that you're excited about?
I mean, there's there's several different things. I mean, I kind of see this, moving more full time over the next, 12 to 18 months is kind of our goal anyway, and maybe scale the bees back a little bit. Um, Still keep the bees, but just not maybe to the same extent we have currently. And we're looking to do some kind of themed saint candles, like in glass jars. There's been a lot of requests for candles in jars where you can light them and not have to worry about them, burning down and burning your house down, but they're contained completely in glass. So we're working on some concepts with that, different wick sizes and size of jar and the artwork and all that. So that's kind of the next thing in the pipeline. So, and then just going out some new smaller candles, like votive style candles. That's been another popular request. So
very good. Okay, last question. You can take this anywhere you want. Biggest piece of advice for other Catholic entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think I would say this for anyone is, try to grow your business without debt. Try to get established. I mean, sometimes you have to borrow a little bit, but when you're not having to constantly pay, living outside of your means, I mean, it's just very simple. I think it's very Catholic as well to just live within your means. Not to say that you can't borrow some money, if it's necessary, but I think in all honesty, it's like it just allows for healthier growth. And then with that, when you're not constantly chasing your tail to try to pay the man back, you can actually have a little more of a realistic life with, your family. You're not stretched where you're constantly frazzled and running from one thing to the next. Not to say that there's not crazy times and where I feel like I'm chasing my tail. I mean, there's times where of the year that it's like that, but that gorilla on your back is not there when you're having to just make insane debt payments, which I had experience with in the previous company. We borrowed too much and initially, and it was just a gorilla that would never get off my back.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I totally hear you.
So just, I mean, it's a means to an end, right? All business and money. We should honor God and love God and love our neighbor through it and provide for our family, and provide a quality product. But if it becomes the end of itself, then it's kind of defeated the purpose. So it's keeping that perspective. It's hard at times, but it's, I think, the most necessary.
Yeah. Where can people keep up with you and what you're up to? Find your candles, your honey, even if that's something that you have out there.
Yeah. Ambrosiancandles.com is kind of where everything goes, and we have links to our different social media sites, particular Twitter. So yeah, that's kind of where you can find us. And
perfect, awesome. I'll be sure to link that. Tommy, thank you so much for taking the time to chat, and excited for the listeners to hear this one, and just appreciate all that you do and the work that you do, and just God bless you and all your endeavors.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Tommy. We'll see you.